Good morning, everyone. And happy Mother's Day. You're welcome. Interestingly enough, Mother's Day, as we know it, is actually an American holiday. Back at the turn of the 20th century, in a church called St. Andrew's Methodist Church in West Virginia, there was a woman named Anna Jarvis. And Anna's mother, Anne Reeves Jarvis, was a peace activist during the American Civil War. And she had come to some renown because she had ministered to and taken care of wounded soldiers on both sides of that conflict, both from the Confederacy and from the Union. And so her daughter started this initiative in her memory, and that spread from West Virginia, and eventually Woodrow Wilson in 1914 made a proclamation saying that the second Sunday, the month of May, will forever be known in the United States as Mother's Day. Now, other cultures, Christian cultures, definitely have their own form of Mother's Day, but it's a little bit different. In Europe and other Christian nations, they have something called Mothering Sunday. Mothering Sunday is a little different because it doesn't have to do so much with mom, but it has to do with Holy Mother Church. And it's celebrated on the fourth Sunday of Lent, which is like Tare Sunday, when we wear pink, you'll remember. And what happens on Mothering Sunday is, the tradition is that you would go to your mother church on that Sunday. Your mother church meaning the church that you were baptized in. Now, even then and now, sometimes that might be a little bit of a jaunt, depending on where you come from. So, how it morphed into, or part of that tradition rather, is that if that wasn't possible, you went to the cathedral in your diocese, the cathedral being the mother church of that diocese where you lived. Eventually, in modern times, many of the things that we celebrate for Mother's Day, mainly mom, got to be attached to the Mothering Sunday tradition in Europe. Also, it's May, and May, by Catholic tradition, is associated with the Blessed Virgin Mary. Children crowned our beautiful statue of the Blessed Virgin at the 9:30 Mass, which was very, very nice. And I had always thought that, oh yeah, sure, May is the month of Mary, because that's what Mother's Day is. And I found out Mother's Day is only like 100 years old, so what's the deal? Well, this is one of those instances where Catholics did actually take something from the pagans and make it their own. Of course, in the Northern Hemisphere, May is associated with the season of spring, when new life and fertility springs forth from the dormant earth. And this was known, of course, to the ancients, and certain gods were associated with certain months. The Greek god Artemis and her Roman counterpart Flora, who were the gods of fertility and motherhood, were celebrated in the month of May. So, when Constantine legalized Christianity, we took it over. So rather than celebrating the pagan gods of fertility and motherhood, we celebrate our Blessed Mother, who is the most sacred fertility and the most blessed mother. But that tradition didn't really get widespread at the time. It stayed in little pockets in the Mediterranean. And it wasn't until the 18th century. And there was a Jesuit priest in Rome, and his name was Father Lateroni. And what happened with Father Lateroni is that he had a little bit of a problem. As the ancients knew that springtime in May was this source of fertility and the springing forth of new life, there is another demographic that knows that very well. College students. And the spring break tradition still lives with us. As much as things change, they always seem to stay the same. So Father, who was in charge at the Roman College of the Society of Jesus, decided to put an end to this spring fever by dedicating the month to the Blessed Virgin Mary, full of devotion, dedication to her sacredness and to her purity. And therefore that has been handed down to us through tradition, and we still to this day celebrate May as the month of our Blessed Virgin. Amen? Amen. Happy Mother's Day again. God bless.